Hi, I'm using this particular video, at least, as an experiment in the early days of this new YouTube channel where there's really no one watching. Uh, it's really a great opportunity for me to experiment something I've wanted to experiment on for some time, which is what happens if I just do anything totally for myself without regard to anybody else. And some may call it selfish. But I think in this point in my journey, I think it's a false dichotomy to divide the self and the other. If once, it's my belief at least, that if one is coming from the true self, the deeper part within them, then there's no real divide between oneself and the other. So it's interesting because I've been really hesitant in my life so far to really be talking about myself or start any sentence with I am, I. Of course, I can share my opinions or how I'm feeling even when I'm asked, but uh, I've been quite shy, although I can be very talkative at the same time when I feel safe and when I feel like it's the right place. And this environment I found for myself, this setting, shooting these videos, is one such example. But I guess I've always known instinctively that not everyone can handle the the full spectrum of who I am. Some people only could handle a very small fraction of what I am, and I knew that from very early on, and I didn't really want to cause any discomfort because I care about people and others. So I held back, and the true extent of my full self is still to be known because it's limitless for all practical purposes. But that's for another day, for another discussion. What I want to talk about today is I don't know what's whatever that wants to come through this moment through me being in front of the camera. And I guess maybe I'll use this occasion to talk about myself, how I got to do this, because that's something I will be wanting to talk at a certain point anyways. And I would feel kind of uh, awkward not having talked about what I'm about, where I come from, in order to be more open and vulnerable and coming from my heart, being forthright, open in these videos. So, regardless of how many people are interested, because I guess, again, that's freedom of, mm, that's a privilege I get to enjoy in these early days where I'm no one's really watching. I don't know how many views this particular video will end up attracting over the course of its lifetime. But I can feel less self-conscious about talking about myself. And I'm here As someone who's, I feel like, who's past a crucial point, a critical mass, if you will, in the process of awakening to the true nature of oneself. But as I said earlier, because my true self is infinite, it I may not reach the point of full remembrance in my lifetime, but at least for now, I know why I'm here. I know what this is all about. And that is what's prompting me to be in front of the camera every day, to be shooting these videos without knowing where it's going, without having any particular direction or agenda. Uh, well, to clarify it a little bit, I do have some direction for each video, but as far as how this channel is meant to unfold in the bigger perspective, in the bigger scheme of things, I have no idea. I'm told by multiple sources throughout the years that I am meant to be reaching many people, and an important medium is for me speaking, through me speaking. Well, English is not my first language. That's one factoid about me. Anyways, I'm just following my inner impulse. And as I shared in the last video, the power of having no motivation, it can be very liberating to be in such a place. And maybe um, the flip side of it is not having these videos go viral right after I launch it. I've seen many other people teaching how to make viral videos, be it on YouTube or any other social channel. But it has to come. You have to have a knack of following what other people are interested in, what's popular in the moment. And while there's nothing wrong inherently with it, it can get in the way of me just being true to myself without worrying too much about what other people will think of what I say. Because one thing I learned in from one of the many teachers that I had, especially in the context of art and artistry, what matters much more than the actual techniques. And I learned this in a photography class. The professor in college, the professor was quite an eccentric Italian um, gentleman. He emphasized what's much more important than the technique is to have something you're dying to say, a very important message that you want to put out there through the means of photography or any other medium of art. That is what trumps the technique that makes it look polished, look more pretty, refined. But that is secondary. If he said if he had to choose between the two, he would always go for having a strong message that has to get out there, which makes you pursue the more refined techniques, that makes you motivated to work on your skills, your techniques, and learning more about the craft. And that is in large, to a large extent, why I'm here. Because I know there is something that needs to come out, wants to come out, for one, for my own self, for my own sanity, as I said yesterday, but also for others, because there's a reason why there's gotta be a reason why this message wants to come out through me. And time will tell after I gather tens and hundreds of videos through these daily shootings what that will look like. But I don't want to be limited by the expectation of what I need to make happen, even under the name of being in service to others. I have a mixed relationship with being in service because although I really cannot deny the importance of being in harmony with others and being generous as a as a general tendency, but at the same time, I feel like it's been a way how of others manipulating me into doing what they want. I feel like my goodwill, my good intentions have been taken advantage of over and over throughout my life. And I didn't know, in many cases, when to stop giving to the detriment of myself, my own integrity. And I'm still learning. Chances are I'm still at fault, trying to give too much without feeling of myself. Because you can't give what you don't have. That holds true for both physical resources and also emotional resources. And what I think is important, very important, to get through to you is that our life here, this physical existence experience, is largely an emotional one. And all of our physical, material, and mental, intellectual pursuits are to an emotional end because we want to feel something, feel a certain way. And to go back to my story, I feel like I've come to a place where I found that, and the importance of feeling and also being able to feel, being able to confidently say that I feel good more days than not on a regular basis. And that matters much, much, much more than any other external states that many people believe is necessary in order for you to feel a certain way. And of course, because we are living in a body, the body needs a certain set of things like air, food, water, shelter, clothes. it can be easy to get caught up in those markers, especially when you're not doing well materially, financially. And I know that struggle. And even at the time of this recording, I'm not totally out of the woods in that regard. But hopefully, the time gap between me shooting these videos and the channel taking off, whenever that is, I don't know, even decades um, down the road, is that this can be a record, un, unfiltered, truthful, unadulterated, raw, kind of a record of how I got from one place to another, using the principles I will be sharing, I have been sharing, I will be sharing through these videos. And the magic that life is meant to, really meant to become for anyone who is courageous enough to choose this road less traveled. So I guess I've talked very little about my past, and these days I feel what represents me is much more about where I come from, especially from an emotional place. As I said, I keep emphasizing the importance of emotions and feeling, not in a sense of being taken away by strong emotions, but more about being able to hold and contain a broad spectrum of emotions. Looks like my wife and son is home, and looks like I'll be interrupted soon. And because I shoot these videos one take, I guess this is the optimal time to cut this one off, and I'll see you in the next one.